You didn't find this video by chance, and if you've made it this far, there's a very specific reason for it. Few have access to this type of message, and even fewer manage to stay until the end. It's not superstition, it's attunement. You were drawn here because there's something in your mental and energetic field that sets you apart, something that awakens only at certain moments in life, and that, if not nurtured, can disappear as quickly as it appeared. The ancients called it the seal of the chosen. Modern science, when it tries to explain it, speaks of rare patterns of brain activity. At the intersection of these two visions lies your greatest treasure, hidden, dormant mental powers waiting to be awakened. And today we're going to walk across that bridge between the occult and what neuroscience is beginning to glimpse, so that you can discover if you really carry within you the mark that distinguishes the rare from the common. If this message touches something within you, subscribe now and write in the comments, "I recognize the calling." This way, we'll know how many share this same journey. There's a detail that few realize. The so-called hidden powers of the mind don't arise overnight, nor do they appear spectacularly as in the movies. They manifest subtly, in small intuitions that are confirmed, in perceptions that seem to go beyond the obvious, in moments when you feel you're in the right place at the right time, even without knowing why. For neuroscience, these experiences are often associated with unusual patterns of connectivity between areas of the brain. Certain studies show that highly intuitive people activate regions linked to both logical reasoning and emotional perception almost simultaneously, a rare but powerful phenomenon. In occultism, this state is described as an open bridge between the conscious and the unconscious, allowing deep information to rise to the surface of the awakened mind. If you've ever experienced something like this, you may have also noticed that it's not constant. It's as if there were internal doors that open only under specific conditions, and that, if not cared for, close again, leaving behind only the memory of an extraordinary sensation. Signal number 6 on our list is precisely linked to this ability, the ability to perceive invisible connections between seemingly isolated events. It's not just about coincidences, but about recognizing patterns that most ignore. Those who carry this mark learn to see life as a set of intertwined threads, where each event is part of a larger design. And when you start to see these threads, you inevitably start to wonder, if everything is connected, what else might be revealing itself to me without me realizing it? Secondly, we find something that few perceive in themselves, the constant feeling of non-belonging. It's not about common social isolation, but about a deep impression that the rhythm of the world isn't yours. As if you were always one step ahead or a few steps behind, never exactly in step with the masses. In the spiritual view, this feeling is like a silent reminder that you didn't come just to repeat patterns. You came to break them. Alan Watts used to say that when we feel out of place, it's because we're here to help create a new pattern of reality. And this mismatch isn't a defect, it's a sign of mission. Neuroscience observes that highly creative and sensitive brains show different connectivity patterns. These are minds that process information more broadly, absorbing nuances that others don't even notice. It's like having internal antennas picking up frequencies that aren't emitted on common radios. This displacement may have made you doubt yourself, but in the eyes of the initiated, it confirms that you're tuning into something that's yet to come. And this attunement isn't built by forcing. It grows like an invisible field, preparing you to recognize the next key. In the third position, there's a silent but transformative ability, the invisible reading of human intentions. It's not just feeling the vibe of an environment. It's as if your body and mind perceive vibrations that escape logic. You may not have words to explain it, but you feel when something isn't aligned, even if everyone around you seems convinced otherwise. Ancient traditions called this spiritual discernment, or the eye of the heart. In ancient Egypt, it was associated with the eye of Horus, a symbol of protection and vision beyond physical appearance. For Jung, it's the manifestation of the collective unconscious, touching the surface of your consciousness, sending subtle messages that don't always go through logical reasoning. Neuroscience has already detected that the human body has micro-expressions and subtle variations in voice and posture that the brain processes without you consciously realizing it. This internal radar is activated more intensely in people with high sensitivity and empathy, creating a kind of sixth sense trained by time and experience. In the beginning, this gift may seem like a burden. You detect falsehood where everyone sees cordiality. You perceive manipulation where others only see charisma. And this can isolate you, as it's not always possible to explain what you feel. But when matured, this talent becomes a reliable compass. It allows you to steer clear of traps before they close and approach opportunities that would go unnoticed by others. And it's precisely this ability that begins to prepare the ground for the next signal, one of the rarest and most valuable that someone can carry. In the fourth position, there's something that few consciously cultivate, but that when awakened, changes your entire way of interacting with the world, the ability to transform pain into strength. It's not about ignoring or pretending it doesn't hurt, it's about transmuting. It's about taking the raw material of your most difficult experiences and with patience, polishing it until it becomes fuel for your growth. In alchemical traditions, this is the true meaning of the transmutation of lead into gold. It's not just a physical process, but a metaphor for inner evolution. Lead is the dense, heavy experience, full of fear. Gold is the expanded consciousness that emerges when you cross and integrate that pain. Carl Jung, when talking about the process of individuation, warned that there's no enlightenment without facing one's own shadow. He knew that the unconscious holds not only our traumas, but also keys to power. What many call healing is, in fact, a reunion with parts of oneself that were hidden, waiting to be recognized. Neuroscience confirms that painful experiences deeply shape the structure of the brain. Research shows that people who face adversity develop neural connections associated with resilience, problem-solving ability, and creative thinking. It's as if each internal scar becomes an antenna to capture solutions that others don't see. And here's the detail that differentiates this signal in people with a rare aura. They not only overcome difficulties, but also transform them into something useful for others. This energy of overcoming overflows, inspiring, healing, and even modifying the energy of those who approach. Therefore, this signal is a watershed. It marks the passage from the wounded ego to the mature consciousness, capable of recognizing that the toughest battles are, in fact, disguised initiations. And this understanding opens space for the fifth signal, which delves even deeper into the territory of the rare. The fifth signal that identifies a truly rare aura is the ability to perceive the invisible. I'm not referring only to what physical vision doesn't capture, but to what's hidden in the subtext of a gesture, in the pauses of a speech, in the silence of an environment. People with this gift don't just feel, they decode. In the mystical tradition, this is called subtle clairvoyance, a state of expanded perception in which the mind becomes a radar to capture nuances that go unnoticed by most. In psychological terms, Carl Jung described something similar when talking about intuitive functions, which allow perceiving patterns before they manifest concretely. Neuroscience has another name for this: accelerated unconscious processing. Studies show that the brain receives billions of stimuli per second, but most of it doesn't reach immediate consciousness. However, for people with high perceptual sensitivity, this information is integrated more quickly and deeply, generating insights that seem like premonitions or forebodings. Imagine entering a room and, in a few seconds, knowing who's bothered, who's happy, who's hiding something. Not because someone told you, but because your perceptual system captured micro-expressions, variations in breathing, minimal changes in the energy of the place. This signal is a gift, and at the same time, a responsibility. Those who carry it need to learn to filter what they perceive so as not to overload themselves. Without preparation, this sensitivity can generate anxiety, confusion, or even isolation. But when cultivated with awareness, it becomes a powerful tool to guide decisions, protect from traps, and above all, guide other people at the right time. The most fascinating thing is that, in many ancient traditions, this gift was considered the mark of someone who was ready to receive higher instructions. It was as if the awakening of this perception was the password that opened the doors to the next level of initiation. And it's precisely at this point that we approach the deepest signal of all. What follows is the trait that unites all the others and reveals, without room for doubt, whether your aura is in fact one of the rarest that exist. The most powerful signal, the one that few develop and that definitively distinguishes a rare aura, is full self-awareness. Not just knowing what you want or what you feel, but having clarity about who you are when all the masks fall. This awareness isn't conquered with books or quick techniques. It's born from a deep encounter with one's own shadow. What Jung said was the hidden, repressed, or denied part of our psyche. According to him, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And it's in this process of facing what we would normally avoid that true strength is forged. In the initiatory schools, this moment was compared to crossing a portal. The disciple went through symbolic tests that measured not only physical courage, but above all, the ability to remain whole in the face of their own exposed frailties. It was internal alchemy at its most intense stage, transforming weight into impulse, pain into wisdom, doubt into silent certainty. Modern neuroscience offers an intriguing parallel. Research on metacognition, the ability to think about one's own thinking, shows that people capable of observing their emotions and thoughts without confusing themselves with them have higher levels of resilience and adaptability. It's as if, by developing this internal observer, the brain creates new connections that make it less reactive and more strategic in the face of challenges. Those who reach this state don't live at the mercy of external chaos. On the contrary, it's as if they carry an unshakable internal axis, capable of maintaining calm in the midst of the storm and lucidity in the midst of the noise. It doesn't mean absence of fear or sadness, but the ability to cross these states without losing one's own center. This is the point where all the other signals meet: deep empathy, refined intuition, energetic sensitivity, perception of the invisible. All of this amplifies and aligns when you know who you are at the most essential level. And this clarity creates an energy so coherent and magnetic that it attracts situations and people aligned with your path, while pushing away what no longer serves. That's why this signal was treated as a secret reserved only for the most prepared. Because once you awaken to it, there's no going back to being who you were before. You start to see with different eyes, to speak with another voice, to act with another weight in the world. And each step taken from then on echoes not only in your life, but in the lives of all who cross your path. If, upon hearing this, something within you resonated deeply, perhaps you're already on this threshold, and the real question now is, what are you going to do with this awareness? You've just crossed a path that isn't common. Few have access to this type of reflection, and even fewer remain until the end. If you're here now, it's because something within you recognized each of these signals, or at least felt the call to develop them. Remember, it's not about being better than others, but about becoming more faithful to who you truly are. The rare aura isn't a title, it's not a trophy. It's a consequence of an internal process of alignment, self-knowledge, and courage to look inward, even when it's frightening. Perhaps, while listening, you remembered moments when you felt this silent force within you. Perhaps you recognized patterns, sensations, or intuitions that have always been present, but that you had never named. This means that the seed is already there. Now, it's up to you to nurture this energy and allow it to grow. The ancient tradition said that when someone awakens to their true nature, they inevitably become a beacon for others. Not because they try to convince, but because their own presence begins to radiate something that cannot be explained, only felt. And now I want to know, of these 6 signals, which is the strongest in you? Or, which one do you feel you need to develop more? Leave your comment and share your experience. You may discover that there are others right here, treading a path similar to yours. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to continue receiving content like this. And remember, every time you take a conscious step on this journey, the universe responds. The next step is yours.